Okay, moving on to game number 10 with the Kansas Jayhawks. The motivation this week, obviously, continue to move forward. Getting on the winning track has been good for our team, good for our confidence. With that, human instinct is to kind of relax a little bit, so we got to be on guard for that. We got to go get a road win. I think that's important. Haven't won on the road yet this year. We're 0-3. Last year we were 4-1 on the road. So we're confident. This team's confident that we can go win on the road. Our plan that we have in place has proven to be successful with that. So go get a win on the road is important. And yes, try to get to win 6 is important. 5 + 1 is 6. For those of you that don't know that. So it's important to get to 6. That happens to be the magic number when in talking about bowl eligibility. It's everybody's team to get bowl eligibility. It's everybody's goal to get bowl eligibility. So, we'll talk about that a little bit, but, have another opportunity to get out there and play a Big 12 football game is good. So, probably we'll mention what happened 2 years ago, at Kansas. I think we're a completely different team. They have a different team. We are a different team, but, we've made a lot about our 20 seniors that have been here for 4 years in the Big 12. Weren't successful in Lawrence, Kansas 2 years ago. So it's something that we will talk about a little bit. It's my job to make sure that they understand the situation that they're in. So for those who didn't make that trip, I'm going to explain to them what it's going to be like, and then I know a lot of the guys in the room, down in the locker room, will explain to them what it's going to be like. Offensively, Kansas. The one thing I say about Kansas, all three sides, if you go on and you look at their video. They haven't won yet this year. They're in a complete rebuilding mode. David Beatty's a good football coach. He's going to get it going there. It's going to take a little bit of time, but he's a great recruiter, and he's going to continue to get talent to Kansas and continue to get better. You can already see that being the case. Playing a lot of young guys, a lot of inexperienced guys. So that makes it kind of tough to win in the Big 12. There's no question. But the one thing that you can see when you put on all three phases of their game is their kids play their tail off. I mean, the effort that they play with is very, very apparent. And you can see that on video, that they play hard, and it doesn't matter first quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. They play their tail off. Their schemes are good. They offensively, they're pretty similar to us. Their OC, Rob Likens, came from Cal. Which runs a similar style of offense that we do. Coach Beatty came from Texas A&M, which obviously runs a very similar style of offense that we do. So they look very similar to us. They're about 50-50 run pass. They're going to get into multiple sets. They got a freshman quarterback that's continuously getting better, that does a good job of throwing the football. And they got some good backs that run hard. So, it's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. These guys are getting better, and they play with great effort. Defensively, if you remember what I said last year about Clint Bowen, same thing is true 100% this year. I think he's one of the better defensive coordinators in the country. Their scheme is good. Their players are technically sound. They play with great effort. They're never out of position. They've played well in spurts defensively. And the one thing that when you look at it, you want to look at it when you see some of these numbers and the stats that they've been put in, situations that they've been put in. You look at it and you don't think it's going to look good, but I tell you, you put it on and it's looked good for 10 straight games. They've gotten better, and again, they're playing with a lot of guys that are new, and they're continuously getting better. So I think last week against TCU shows exactly what I'm saying. They played TCU hard. They played them tough. They had a chance to win that game. TCU is a good football team that's won 17 out of the last 18 games. So that shows that Kansas is getting better, and they're going to give us everything that we want. So with that, we'll take some questions.
Dana, you kind of mentioned it, they're in a rebuilding mode. Coach Beatty, he actually faced a pretty significant shortfall in the scholarship department. I think it was like 65 he had when he came into the job. As someone who knows, what it takes to assemble a roster, what kind of challenge is that, being behind the 8 ball in terms of scholarship players, and how would you address it if you were in a similar situation?
Well, it's not something that's going to get fixed overnight. Never, we were in the 60s when I was, several years ago here too, and you can't use it as an excuse. You gotta put guys in position to get out there and play. Your frontline guys can be fine. It's the depth issue that gets you. That's where it gets you. And over the course of a season, over the course of a game, when guys get hurt, you're plugging guys in that they're either not good enough to play or they're not ready to play yet, for whatever reason. And that's really where it gets you. And what I've seen is over the past 3-4 years, our backups that go in, our special teams guys that are consisting of backups are able to play at a much higher level. So, I know what he's going through. He's going to do a good job. He's a recruiting machine, so he's going to get out there and recruit hard. And over the course of 3 and 4 years, you got to sign the maximum number of people that you can sign. They have to qualify, and then you need retention as well.
Dana, with the run game you have now, how important is it that you keep a deep ball presence? Obviously, Javon the other day, but to keep defenses spread out, do you have to have that?
Well, you do, but what we've seen is because we have a deep ball presence and because we can run the ball, it's the intermediate stuff that they're giving you. So, of the 10 passes that we completed, the 12 passes that we attempted, only one of them was really a shot. Okay, if you go back and look at at TCU, and Texas Tech played us just like just like Texas played us. TCU, we had those shots, which is why we were taking shots left and right. If they take away numbers in the run game and don't play people way off, we're going to take shot after shot after shot, and we have guys that can be successful when it comes to that. But if they're playing everybody back, and taking away the run, then you got to do a good job with the intermediate passing game. I thought we did a good job of that last week. You can say, well, you only threw for 120 yards. Well, that's 12 yards an attempt, and over 90% of those throws were intermediate passes. So, that's what we got to continue to do. It's all about just looking at what their plan is and what they're giving you and trying to get in the right play to be able to be successful.
Do you think that the lack of those deep shots is a part of is maybe part of the reason why the past 2 games that we really hadn't seen Shelton Gibson do quite as much offensively?
Yeah, I'd say that's the biggest reason, but Shelton will be the first to tell you that he's got to work hard and right place, right time, and get open underneath, and not just deep shots, but get open underneath. Let's say this about Shelton though: if he's not being productive in the pass game, he's going to find something else to do. And you saw him on one of those kickoffs, come down and knock the heck out of one of those returners. So if he can't do that in the pass game, then he'll try to do it in the return game or on the coverage units as well. I think Shelton's very valuable to us, and we'll find something for him to do.
Dana, you've mentioned, assumed somewhat jokingly, about Wendell not being able to score many touchdowns.
That's really not a joke. Well, it's just a fact.
Okay.
I mean, how do you rush for 12 yards of carry and not score?
What needs to happen for him to get in the end zone more? Is it something he's doing? Is it downfield blocking?
I thought it was me not showing him where the end zone was, but I showed him that about 10 days ago. We went out at practice, and I explained to him what that line was where the turf changes color. And so he can't blame it on me. I don't know. We give it to him a bunch. We open up holes that are as big as this as big as this screen. He gets from point A to point B, which is about 12 yards, as fast as anybody I've ever seen. The rest of it's up to him.
So it's more so about him making people miss. I was just wondering if receivers.
I think receivers are doing a good job downfield blocking. Especially this past week. Now, that hadn't been the case all the time, never will be. But I think this past week, I thought our receivers did a good job downfield. Maybe it has to do with Texas having really good athletes and closing the gap and making tackles.
They started cut blocking recently? Your receivers, I mean?
We did that about 3 weeks ago we did. That wasn't for the run game. That was for another reason. By no means am I selling Wendell short. He is our guy. He's as good of a running back as I've ever been around. I mean, he's got confidence. He's reading blocks. He's getting through there as quick as anybody I've ever seen. I don't know. Why hasn't he taken one 60 yards to the house? I don't know. I'm sure he don't know either. Maybe it has something to do with playing some good teams that have good athletes that close the gap pretty quick.
Is Yodney still day-to-day, or is he maybe going to shut down for a while? Or?
No, he's not shut down yet. I'd tell you if he was. He's not shut down yet. He's probably going to see a little practice time for the first time. He did not last week. We'll probably see some practice time this week, and then we'll see how that looks.
Speaking of talented or athletic defenders, what have you seen on film of this Fish Smithson for Kings?
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a new guy, junior college guy, came in from California. He stands out. I mean, he's leading the Big 12 in tackles. And I think you'd probably rather have your linebacker lead the team in tackles, but he is. He's a good player. He shows up. He's got a couple of interceptions and looks athletic when the ball's in the air. He turns your head. He turns your head. So, and it's hard to do that as a first-year player. So give him credit for being able to adjust really quick and make the plays that he's made.
Coach, when you look at the way Karan's come on in recent weeks and you think back to the other players you've gotten out of Lackawanna, like Kevin, Mark Lewinsky, how important has that connection become for you guys over the past few years?
Huge. It's been big. Coach Duda does a great job up there. I mean, they won a ton of games again this year. So that's Dayron Wilson came from there as well. Wolf, you could probably name 2 or 3 more that come from that direction. Glowinski's obviously a great player, Kevin. And Karan's doing some good things as well, too. So, he does a great job up there, and we're always looking for guys to be able to help.
You talked about turning to the run game for a couple years now. Look a couple years ahead. What kind of offense do you envision? I mean, what you see now, pass game 50-50, 60-40, what is it?
I think in a perfect world, I made reference to this, I believe, to Tony on the radio show last week, that I'd much rather be in this situation right now than the other way. We can run the ball as good as anybody I've been around. Okay, any team that I've been around, we're still. I mean, we have a chance to do good things pass game wise. We've proven to where if we couldn't throw the ball, we wouldn't have won that game last week. So we've proven to where we can make those throws and make those catches, and I'm pretty confident in the scheme that we do. I think that's been proven over the last 2 decades to be successful. I think in a perfect world, you're about a 50-50 team, and if the defense is taking away one, then you can effectively attack that defense with the other. It's harder to get in the position that we're in right now with the mindset of being able to run the football than it is to be able to flip a switch and get that mindset from your team, overnight, or if they're giving you the pass and the conditions are not allowing you to be able to throw it the way that you want to throw it, you can't just flip a switch and be able to have that mindset to be able to run the ball.
What about the 2013 game specifically might you revisit with players too?
What year is that?
The loss in Kansas.
I already mentioned that it'll get brought up. I think that's all I really need to say about it.
You're talking run and pass. On Saturday, you threw the ball 12 times and won a game. Mike Leach threw it 57 and pulled off a win. I mean, is there no really right way, or is there one way better than the other, or?
The right way is whatever you did in order to get the win, I think is the appropriate way to be able to phrase that. I mean, you know, whatever you got to do to win, that's what I've resigned to do. So I could have been worried about stats and done something to screw that game up pretty easily. For the last 2 weeks, I could have done that. So, you know, we'll come up with the game plan. I think our offensive coaches are doing a good job of coming up with a game plan that fits our personnel. You know, getting these guys to understand what we got to do to move the ball, get first downs, get enough points to win, manage the game the appropriate way, whatever that means. You know, go fast, go slow, huddle, don't huddle, whatever it is, do what we got to do to finish the game and add one victory into the win category. So I've been on that other side too, you know, where we've thrown the ball 60, 70 times and won. And that's what it took to win, and that's what we did.
What kind of difference had maybe seen, Danny, from an emotional, from a psychological standpoint in this team, from where they were maybe 2 weeks ago, coming off those 4 losses, to where they are now, where you guys have kind of rebounded?
Not a whole lot different, to be honest with you. I mean, our team is still the same. I think we've played hard all year. I think we've practiced well all year. You know, even leading into those games after that 4-game stretch, our guys still practiced hard, played hard, and I had no doubt that they would go out and continue to do that. So not a whole lot. It's a little easier to refocus your guys, you know, from eliminating doubt or, you know, capitalizing on confidence, you know, after a win than it is after a few losses. There's no doubt about that. But I think this team is motivated, and it means a lot to them, and it starts with those 20 seniors. To whatever the situation is, they will attack it head on and do their best.
And in the offseason, we talked a lot about forcing turnovers, the importance of it. That being said, did you envision it going this well this year? You guys have forced a number so far this year.
Yeah, with that said, we're still only like 3rd in the league in turnover margin. So offensively, we need to focus hard. And as much as we've focused on you know, getting turnovers and forcing turnovers and, you know, hoping and thinking that good things will happen to you, I think that's the key in getting turnovers. And then the same thing, we've worked equally as hard at protecting the ball and focusing on that. I believe we've got 9 picks and 6 fumbles, if I'm not mistaken. So you got to keep focusing on it, you know, and we will. So all that, what have we done? I ain't telling you, but we're going to continue to do it. And hopefully it will help us win the next few games.
What does Wellman do for the mental attitude of this team?
Yeah, just tough. West Virginia kid, you know, means a lot to him to be a Mountaineer. You know, grew up wearing the blue and gold. Has that kind of mentality, you know, blue collar, hard worker, tough, do what you got to do in order to make it work. He's becoming very valuable to what we're doing offensively. He wasn't able to do this a year ago as a redshirt freshman. He's improved to the point to where a couple things have happened. One he's the main guy in the backfield, the lead blocker, the fullback. It's allowed Cody Clay. Cody Clay's been that guy for 3 years. Well, now Cody can go be a tight end to get us an extra gap up front. And Cody's improved his game. You don't see it because he's just like one of the offensive linemen pretty much. But he's allowed Cody to do good things up on the line of scrimmage. You know, Eli being the lead blocker, he's getting after people pretty good. And now the element to sneak him in the flat and throw it to him, we've talked about that. He's good at that, and now we're starting to hand it to him. So he's becoming very valuable with what we're doing. That's why he was the player of the week last week.
With Darryl, he's made a couple of big plays for you guys in the past 2 weeks, but struggled, I guess, a little bit during the month of October. Did you see his confidence ever waver? And
Well, you go up against some of those guys he went up against. I mean, all 3 of the guys he went up against are all up for the Blitnikoff right now. So those guys are really good. And I don't care who you are at corner, you go up against those guys, you're going to get beat at times. So he did. He was battling through an injury, and he came back, and that happens. A good corner's got to have a short memory because they're going to get beat. And Daryl has bounced back and played really, really good the last 2 weeks.
Danny, you happy with the pass rush? It seems like Noble's had some pretty big games these last 2.
Yeah, better. It is. It's better. It's better than it has been in the last few years. So Noble's doing good, and again, Gibby's doing a good job of scheming some things up. We can't just rush 3 all the time. So he's doing a good job of scheming some things up, getting some of these backers and safeties there as well. That should be. That should be a key moving forward for the remainder of the year.